Right, then we've had a chance to sleep on it and figure out where we went right, where we went wrong, what this means going forward. That means there's only one thing now to do, and that is have a chat about it. Here's the 5 things that we learned watching United lose to Young Boys. In at number 1, mistakes cost us. 2 big mistakes cost us the game last night. 2 individual errors were enough to see United lose our first game in the Champions League, and that was Wan-Bissaka's reckless challenge. Sloppiness because his touch was bad, and sloppiness to go in so hard, so high with his foot up, and we ended up being one man down with an hour left of the game away from home in the Champions League. Now, that's a tough ask. Like, you can sometimes see how these things start to unravel. I think home fans being back for everybody across the world as well means home performances are going to be slightly improved for everybody. And with us holding on to a 1-0 lead at the time, it meant that there was literally nothing to lose then from Young Boys and they could push on. And the red card messed up United's system of play, which, to be honest, wasn't perfect at the time anyway. And the other big and obvious mistake came from Jesse Lingard. You know, there's 40 seconds left in stoppage time, a lapse in concentration, possibly because it's an unfamiliar surface playing on a 3G and it held up more than he was hoping for, but playing the ball back to the goalkeeper anyway, from midfield when you've had to bypass a line of Manchester United players, it's not the best shout. Literally turn around and punting it out for a throw-in, which is the most basic of basic things, would have been a far better option for him to do. If we don't make those mistakes, we either end up coming away with 3 points or at the very least 1 point. And we look in a completely different situation in the group now. Number 2, the substitutions were wrong. And I had a chat with Rio about this last night. He said he didn't agree. He didn't agree on a few things that I'd said about the game. And I guess everyone's entitled to their opinion, and obviously his carries a little bit more weight than mine. He thought the players have got to do a little bit better in that. I said I didn't think the substitutions were correct. After Wan-Bissaka was sent off, Ollie was forced to make changes, of course. On the bench, we had Baye, Mata, Marshall, Greenwood, Lingard, Varane, Dalot, Matic, Alanga, and both goalkeepers. Dalot came on for Sancho in the 37th minute. Varane came on for Donny in the 46th. And then Young Boys equalised in the 67th. Then we bring Ronaldo and Bruno off for Matic and Lingard. And then Marshall came on in the last minute for Fred. Again, what's that? The very last one is the most baffling. If you were saying, right, let's eat up some time, bring Baye on. It's another defender in there. All we're doing now, clearly when you've taken off Ronaldo, all we're doing now is holding on. He didn't bring Marshall on to try and win the game in the 89th minute, did he? He brought Marshall on for what reason, precisely? And taking off the defensive midfielder. Now, if Jesse Lingard's in the situation, he's got Baye standing there, or someone else in midfield that you've put into there. Not that I think you necessarily needed that, but it's not a forward at least. Just taking Fred out of the equation, even though Fred's probably one of the worst ball players in this. He might have been in that area to receive a pass, and he might have punted it long. It might not have forced us to go back. Why are you bringing Tony Marshall on? Makes no sense. And then you've got the confusion about what we were doing. You immediately bring Dalot on and you've taken off Sancho. Some might see that as a positive substitution. Some might see then bringing on Varane for Donny as a positive substitution. I would argue maybe you bring Fred off and you leave Donny on, still giving you the ball playing ability because you've got the platform of 3 defenders, eliminating the need for a number 6 somehow. When you take off all of your attacking threats, you're very easy to read. When you're easy to read, you're easy to defend. And when you're easy to defend, the other team gets braver and bolder and pushes further forward. I think the substitutions caused that. In number 3, we didn't create enough. We only had 2 shots in the game. Both of those came from Ronaldo. We had 0.00 XG after 20 minutes in the game. We had nothing else after that point. making the extra man count against Young Boys. They had 69% possession in the second half. They had 11 shots, scoring 2 goals. We allowed our situation to dictate the result. I saw a lot of people yesterday pulling up Tuchel's performance at Anfield when he went down to 10 men. Different circumstance, different team, different mentalities. And also away from home, like we were, in a different set of circumstances. And also, Tuchel got smacked about by West Brom after going down to 10 men. Let's not pretend that he is entirely flawless or never made mistakes here. The point I'm making here now is we didn't create enough. The goal for Ronaldo, the ball and the finish for Ronaldo's goal was superb, sensational. But where's those sorts of things coming from on a more regular basis? And for me, that's shown why crosses need to be going into the box for Cristiano Ronaldo, because I think his movement and finishing ability scores those time and time again. And perhaps that was the thinking in bringing Dalot on, was to try and expand your attacking output through Dalot, and not just replace a like-for-like right-back. Again, I'm not sure what the script is with that, but we will see a little bit going forward because Dalot is obviously going to play in the next couple, at least, of the Champions League games, while Wan-Bissaka is rested. In number 4, Ronaldo owns the Champions League. Last night, Ronaldo continued to show his pedigree in the Champions League. It was a terrific outside of the boot cross from Bruno. He's threaded it in between 2 players and round the back of 2 others. It's a trick shot if ever I saw it. It lands right at the feet of Ronaldo, who fucking passes it into the back of the net. It's his 135th goal in the Champions League. He's now only 19 goals away from being United's all-time leading scorer in the Champions League, with Ruud van Nistelrooy, who's on 35, which is ridiculous. He's only 4 goals away from matching Solskjaer's own Champions League tally, which is 20. Ronaldo's an absolute joke, mate. And that's what bringing him off doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, last night in the review that I did, I spoke about how I thought bringing Sancho off was the wrong move because Sancho's still going to stretch a defence. Some people thought that meant I would set Ronaldo off instead. No, Bruno was the player I would have took off in that circumstance because Ronaldo at any minute of any game, and you saw this against Ireland, if you put the ball in the right area, he puts it in the net. So unless you're concerned about fitness, and you probably shouldn't be with Ronaldo, even though I wanted to rest him entirely for the game, you can, if Ronaldo's there and you're playing him for the full game because he's a threat. He can do nothing in the game and still score. He is ridiculous, and I wouldn't put it past him scoring a hat-trick against these at home. That's how good I think he is. He's on like 1.8 goals per night for United so far in his return. It's utterly bonkers. Utterly bonkers. He's going to be the reason we do well this year. Well, it don't feel like we're going to do well this year on the back of that last night. And finally, number 5, we didn't prepare. There's arguments to suggest that preparation for this could have been better. I don't know whether they were given the night off or the day off on Sunday after the win against Newcastle. I'm not privy to that information. But there were, Pogba, Lingard, Sancho all went to Park Life in Manchester at the weekend. As I said last night, I'm not against players going out and socialising. I think it's probably good for team spirit to do that. I think it's good for them as human beings to do that. My only question mark is that the right preparation? What did Ronaldo do? Now, he was the guy that came up, had our only 2 shots, scored our only goal last night. He wasn't out there making mistakes. He wasn't the one that was out there putting late tackles in and getting sent off. What was his preparation on Saturday night? And you got to ask yourself, why is he the best player in the world? Maybe because he didn't go out Saturday night. But maybe it's doing that consistently over an 18-year career, which has led him to be the player that he's become. Now, I said, I'm not having a go at the lads for doing that. I'm just questioning, if you're not where you want to be in your career, and I would say that all 3 of those players aren't quite where they want to be in their careers, whether that's current form or trophies won over the period, you got to ask yourselves why sometimes. And if you're not doing 100%, why aren't you doing 100%? And secondly, on the preparation front, we didn't have a plan for when we go down to 10 men. Now, if you read Rennie Mullenstein's very, very good book, and I've been fortunate enough to have him on the podcast a couple of times. Rennie's book is literally my go-to book at training. You can see how battered it is by how much I use it. In this book, which is basically the how to fucking coach like Fergie book, they've got situational training. He mentions that they worked on things like, what happens if we go down to 10 men? Then what do we do? Very famously, Jose Mourinho prepared Porto for it. And it was one of the reasons why Porto thought I'll run through walls for this guy. Because he was like, we're going to go down to 10 men, and here's what we're going to do to win the game still when we're down to 10 men. And it happened. Happened in the exact circumstances that he said it was going to happen in. Preparing your team isn't just about, these are the triangles I want you to pass it in, well done. Here's how I want you to cross it for Ronaldo to tap it back into the back of the net. You have to prepare your team for set pieces. You have to prepare your teams for playing out. You have to prepare your teams for the opposition and specifically what they do as a team, who their key players are, who their threats are, how you're likely to deal with those. And then you have to work out what the give and take is. Danny Higginbottom's a brilliant explainer of this. He played for Stoke and Derby. Teams that aren't going to have 75% of the ball and be able to just pass it to Lionel Messi to win a game. So they have to work out what are they going to do best. One of the things that he talks about with Stoke is that they used to go and play at the Britannia on the pitch the day before a match, when they would have Chelsea or United or Arsenal, at the time someone who was going to come and play football against them. And they would play a narrow pitch in the centre of the Britannia, and the grass would be left long, and the players would play on it and chew it up. Very specific, quite wide central area of the pitch. The reason for that, that's where United, City, Chelsea, Arsenal are going to try and play football through the centre of the pitch. What they didn't do was they didn't play on the wings. And that's where the grass was cut, and that's where it was watered, and that's where they would play their football come match day. Stoke would win the ball, they would knock it down, and they would play it into the channels, and they would attack as wingers in those channels and put balls into the centre for their big lads to head in the middle. They've given up the centre of the pitch to take the wide areas. You have to cut your cloth according to what you can do, and you have to prepare your players to step out onto the pitch knowing what they're going to do. And when they execute that, fantastic. That's fucking management. And I think United let ourselves down because I think the substitutions told us we don't know what to do when we go down to 10 men. Do we keep attacking? Do we try and hold on? We seemingly did neither and completely capitulated in the game. The fact that we tried to go to a 4-3, was it even a 4? I don't even know what it was. Whatever we went to initially didn't work. It's probably a 4-4-1, if we're being right. That didn't work when we took Sancho off. So then we switch it up to a 5-3-1, I guess it was. And that didn't work either. Where's the game plan? You got to have a plan for what happens if you go down to 10 men. What are you going to do? Because guess what? Sendings off happen in football. And so does yellow cards and then occasionally second yellow cards too. And you have to prepare for it. We did not prepare well enough for this game. And now we probably need to win 4 out of 5 games. Not impossible, but not easy either. You have to win all your home games and try not to lose your away games. Because we've lost one of our away games, we now need to go and win one of the other away games as well as winning every single match at home. Hell of a task. It starts next week with week after with a hell of a game. Nice one. Cheers for tuning in. Subscribe. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, 5-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.